All right.
The day it becomes a drag, you probably need to make some adjustments. Either by going into your bird room and saying you're next, which nobody wants to do, or by getting more efficient. So hopefully we're going to teach you how to be a little bit more efficient. Because who wants to say you're next? And you say to yourself, how did this ever happen? Well, they're like chocolates. I mean, come on. I wonder if they're happy. I wonder if I'm happy. I wish I had more time for them, for myself. And you usually come in last when this is happening. So this is what they mean by weird. I have to tell you that I was retired. I retired in 2015. I went back to work for two reasons. Number one, I was getting weird. I was perfectly happy with weird. But I found that when I interacted with other people, they weren't as happy as they should be. And I went back to work. Also, I was being eaten alive by the rescue. Anyone who's involved with a non-profit organization recognizes that they will take whatever you give them. They are very fluid. They'll take the space of their container. And then you say to yourself, just one more. Oh, this one's so cute, I have to get this one too. My answer to that is, damn it, they're all cute. So, and then you say, where did my life go? I am really done. So, how do you go about making things more efficient for yourself? I come from a long line of people who believe that anything worth doing is certainly worth overdoing. My father started with fish. We started with a few guppies, then he went to angelfish, he went to gouramis, he went to all these fish. These were all tropicals. Pretty soon, he was breeding them because he enjoyed doing that. And I went down the basement one day, and the old basements in the old houses used to have the shelves. And that entire area was lined with tanks. My father, there was no such thing as a man cave at the time, but that was my father's man cave. He would go down there and play with his fish in the evenings after dinner. And he would emerge when it was time for bed, you know. TV wasn't that great. You didn't have cable, so I guess it was a good amusement. He had some really beautiful fish. I grew up sort of watching the fish in the tank. So my suggestion for lowering the impact is to find, if you have more than 2 or 3 birds, you're probably ready to consider making one of your rooms into a bird room. Not because you want to segregate the birds from your entire life and your entire house, but just because they need a place that is their place. They need a place that when it's time for them to go to bed, it's time for them to go to bed. It's time for them to have darkness. It's time for them to have peace and quiet. A bird is not resting if your TV is on, because all the sounds that that box makes are different to that bird, and that keeps them on high alert for the entire time that is happening. And people tell me, oh, he goes to bed, I put a blanket over him at 8 o'clock. I said, yes, and what's happening in that room after that? Oh, we watch TV quietly. No, that does not work for a bird.
Just hold it right below your lip. Not your chin, right there.
Like I'm going to eat it.
A little lower.
It's not really doing its thing.
Yeah, when you get it right below your lip.
Right there?
Right there.
Okay.
There you go.
Right there.
So I have to tilt it a little.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So you can find a spare bedroom, a sunroom, a garage. My suggestion would be that it be close to a water source, because you're going to have to wash a few things. Close to a bathroom, close to an outside spigot, whatever. All birds on the same floor is certainly, and you know, as I say all birds because I have enough birds that we can refer to all birds. So all birds on the same floor, the first floor if possible, because that gives you access to the outside. And if you want to engage in any serious cage cleaning, which I suggest be done about 4 to 6 times a year, then that task is much easier. You can also lower the impact by going condo. That is the stacking cage. How many have stacking cages here? I have stacking cages. I love them. I rotate the birds top to bottom. Some of the small cockatoos enjoy being in the bottom cage all the time because it's really easy access to the floor, and they love to, do walkabouts. It reduces your housing footprint by at least half. If you get triple stackers, which are too tall for many doorways, it will reduce it even more. And you have top, middle, and bottom bunks. You can, if you don't want to use the bottom bunk for a bird, you can use it for storage, and the storage is safe from prying beaks. So you just apportion your real estate appropriately if you go into stackables. And if you do the math, it's quite a savings in your space. Then, in order to eliminate some of the cleaning that you would otherwise have to do, I've eliminated carpet. I bought my house bare floor, knew that I was going to get into birds, and the entire thing is tiled. I have never regretted that for a moment. It's easily cleaned, it's durable, and it takes a beating. If I had gotten vinyl, I probably would have in 20 years replaced it 5 or 6 times by now. Because vinyl is only a photo with a very light plastic coating over it. You can also do linoleum. Linoleum is a little bit better than, you can also do, other than the vinyl, sheet vinyl, you can do linoleum, but if your bird, if it is not fastened down correctly and a bird ingests it, it is toxic. So that also is easily cleaned. I love my tile. I also bought tile that, I went into the tile store and he said, well, what color are you looking for? I said, well, you know what bird poop looks like? I actually said this to the guy because I really didn't want, I mean, I knew I was going to clean my floor, but I didn't want to have to clean it every 5 minutes. So I actually found a gray-green tile, and it's pretty good, camouflaging an overlooked item. Now, what are you going to have under your bird's feet? We are in rescue, and I cannot tell you how many cages we have picked up. Where's the grate? Oh, the grate? I threw it out. Don't throw out the grate. What's the grate for? The grate is to keep the bird off his poop. It's to keep him off the floor of his cage, which gets pretty grody. And I am amazed at the number of people who throw out the grates. Nobody likes to clean a grate. I don't like to clean grates. But it's really a safety measure for the bird. And if you are religious about it, they wipe clean easily. But they are also what I call a biometric indicator of how you need to clean the cage. When that grate is disgusting or has, stalagmites on it, you probably need to do something. So under the grate, you want to have some sort of substrate. There are many kinds of substrate. There are a lot of people use newspaper. I, who have white cockatoos, do not consider this a good thing because I end up with gray cockatoos. I also don't get them colored toys for the same reason. But a lot of people use newspaper. That does not work with my guys. They will shred it to bits in no time flat, and they will all be gray, and then I have to give back. So it's not a time saver. I happen to like, in the wintertime, wood shavings. I do not use them in the summertime because the fruit flies also love them as nesting material, and it is fruit fly season. Sometimes I will use stove wood pellets. Those are very helpful because they absorb multiples of their weight in water. All my birds are bottle trained, and that's a good thing, except they very often decide to take showers under their bottles. Which is okay, because they would be taking showers in their bowls anyway, but for any place that's going to get wet, those pellets are kind of nice. What I do with the pellets is if they get wet under the bottle, I'll move them to the edge, to another part, and then I'll put some fresh ones there. Those dry, and then I can sort of shuffle them around. So they're pretty practical, and you can get them at places like Intermountain Farmer that has horse supplies and things like that. Also, the shavings can be bought there. As I said, my birds are bottle trained, and all the bottles are lined up. They're all on the right-hand sides of the cages, and I just go through and fill the bottles. I use Lixit bottles. They're really very low maintenance. They go right in the dishwasher, and I made it a rule a long time ago, if it doesn't go in the washer or the dishwasher, I don't own it.
I agree with that.
And people who use bowls are fine, but with as many birds as I have, I would never stop changing bowls. You know, I mean, I just keep all day just going around changing bowls, because they're very good at making poop soup and wood soup and, you know, every kind of soup they can make. And if you're going to use bowls, people say to me, well, why don't you change their water? I use the rule of scum. If there's scum on the top and you kind of look at the light, you see there's a slick on the top, that needs to be changed. My question that I always ask myself, would you drink that? No. So I change the water. And when you change your water, especially in a bowl, in bottles, your water will last about 3 or 4 days without getting any problems in it. And I've had a guy who's a chemist check it. But when you use a bowl, every time you change the water, you should wash the bowl, because there is a little slick that forms on the bowl, and that is bacteria, and you don't want your bird drinking that. So I believe that the bottles result in better sanitation, easier maintenance, improved health. You can, by the way, buy parts for the bottle, so if for the bottle set, if something goes wrong, there's a place called Birdalog on the internet, and there's also Jeffers Pet, and they have parts for these things. People say that it's difficult to train a bird to drink out of a bottle. I have not found that to be the case. What I usually do is put their water bowl upside down with a little bit of water in it, and then I put the bottle right over that water bowl, and they usually are trained within a day. Because even if they go to drink out of the small pool of water that's in the bottom of the bowl, they're probably going to hit the bottle spout with their head, and they're going to notice that it's water, and they're pretty bright. So I have not found training them to drink out of a bottle difficult at all. So let me show you what, I don't know whether everybody knows what these bottles look like, but they come with a rack. Now I have cockatoos. So you see all these little square jobbers? All those have been replaced in my bird room by round fender washers, because I can put this on a cockatoo's cage, and 10 minutes later he's got all the square pieces, all the oblong pieces between the bars. And I don't know, as bird owners, you have pet annoyances. When they do that, that is definitely one of my pet annoyances. When they sort of, and then I've got the bottle hanging by one of these, and then pretty soon I hear a crash and it falls to the ground. They come in 2 sizes generally, and there is the pint, which is this. This is the pint, and then there's a quart. There are special spout sizes. This is for a medium parrot. There's a larger 1/7/8 tube for a large parrot, and there's even a smaller size for canaries. Well, even my canaries, when I had them, were bottle trained. They were really easy to train.
Where'd you get the small ones?
You can get them at anyone who sells the Lixit bottles sells the spout. They sell them with the small spouts.
For that size bottle?
Yeah,
The small
yeah,
bottle, okay.
yeah. Okay, so my advice to you, if you have birds that pick at things and like to, rearrange their cages, I would replace these with fender washers. They also have bottles that screw on. You can also get the Lixit makes just a rack that takes a Snapple bottle, and it's a kit that comes with the stopper and the little rack that goes outside the cage and a spring, and you can do that. When I first converted all of my birds to bottles, it was a major investment, but it was well worth the price. It's another thing I haven't regretted at all. In the summertime, if you use bottles, your problem is going to be to keep the water cool. And what I used to empty my refrigerator, and my entire refrigerator in the summer was full of Arizona tea gallons full of water. But there is something more clever. You take the Arizona tea bottle, you fill it halfway with water, you put it in a freezer so it makes a frozen base. And then you can keep refilling that same jug and it'll cool the water. If you have 3 or 4 jugs, you can rotate them and the water cools that way. It's pretty nifty. And you can also keep food in your refrigerator then, which is nice. Because it's nice to eat in the summer. So I have got these all on the cages lined up so that I can change them quickly. And I have a baby bottle brush that I use, and I clean it with that. And once every 2 weeks, I put them all in the dishwasher. So that's how we do the bottle thing. Also, I use, I repurpose and redeploy a number of things. And one of the things that I use a dog dish for their baths. And before I'm going to clean the bird room, I let them have baths on the top of their cage, which loosens any dirt on the floor. And they help me clean the room. So, that works too. I have duplicates of everything. I have big cabinets in my bird room. And I have lots of dishes because people say to me, when do you change a dish? Well, if you wouldn't eat out of it, then that's again my rule. Don't expect them to eat out of it. Anytime it gets even a speck of poop on it, it's out of there, And I'm pretty religious about that. So I have extra dishes, extra purchase, extra boings, extra toys. I have an emergency stash of corrugated cardboard so I can make, toys, emergency toys. I love swings for the birds. They're good for their legs. They're good for their coordination. They're just, my all-around favorite toy for them. So, if you put similar accessories, like if you put all your water on the right, all your pellets on the and seed on the left, you just can go through boom, boom, boom. If you're constantly looking around for what's where and whatever, it doesn't work. So I use an assembly line approach when I'm feeding them, and I have over 3 dozen birds. I can feed and water them in less than an hour. So, I'm trucking. I'm not, I'm not lollygagging. I'm moving. So, but, and they know. They know when she's on a tear, you just get out of the way. Okay. And one of the things I also do is I check to see what shape the grapes are in. I've discovered something in recent history. Anybody know what this is? This is a key for an irrigation system. I submit, however, that this is not just a key for an irrigation system. This is a tool that safely, conveniently removes poop from a grape when the bird is not in the mood. I put it into the bars, I twist it like that, I stroke it against the grape, poop falls to the floor, I pull out the tray, I don't have to get bitten, I don't have to put my hand in there, and I wouldn't live without this.
That's a good idea.
I am the queen of improv.
Gotta get one of them.
I also use, to the untrained eye, this is a cafeteria tray. It's not really a cafeteria tray. It is a tray saver tray. You put it under roosting sites, and the bird poops here. You remove the tray, you scrape it, and the next day, maybe you scrape it one day, you wash it the next day. I have 70 of these. I have them in the closet, but I just constantly, for me, it's better than papers, because I always worked on New York time, and there's no way I'm going to be changing, 30 cages with papers every morning at 4 a.m. That was not going to happen. So I use these. They are wonderful. And how do I clean them? Anyone who knows me know that this is my go-to cleaner. Murphy's oil soap. I discovered this because I ran out of poop off, which is about 10 times the price. And I had some of this Murphy soap sort of hiding under my sink. And I said, I wonder if that would work. It works better than anything I have ever tried. I use it mostly as a dilute solution, either a third, one part of this, one part of Murphy's, and 3 parts water. Or if I've got something really nasty, I will use half and half. I can put it on I also have towels that I use. I bought a package of these, I think 2 dozen at Costco. They're fabulous. They wash out just like this, even when they've been used, because all the dirt falls out of them. You can actually take this, soak it in your Murphy's solution, drape it over a really nasty perch, come back 10 minutes later, and just wipe the poop off. It is fabulous. It's vegetable based, non-toxic, as I tell people you wouldn't want to put it over ice cream, but it won't poison your birds, you know. So,
Madeleine, question. I have one bird that insists on pooping down the whole front of the door.
We all have that bird.
I mean, that's the only place this bird will poop.
my bird must be visiting you.
Yeah.
What is the best way to get the door clean without taking the whole cage outside?
Murphy's.
Really?
Yeah. You
Just
take one
wipe
of
it
these
all down
cloths.
with that?
You take one of these cloths.
I'm gonna buy that.
What I have also done,
Oh, that bird's driving me nuts.
can you take him out of his cage and clean the cage if you don't want to take it outside?
My son, it's his bird, and he moved out 10 years ago, and guess who got left with the bird?
Yeah.
And Mom takes care of it, but I can handle her.
What I would do, you get a larger towel, and if you can get some plastic, you can just drape the towel over the door for like 10 minutes, and it's going to come right off.
Yeah?
I mean, the stuff is like paint, unless you know what to do with it.
I'm an artist, I paint. I'm familiar with that.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty nasty,
Okay.
but this
should
really
take it right
loosens it
off.
up. Yeah,
It's
and it won't.
disgusting.
Unlike bleach, which I use on some toys, you know, like wood toys. I'll bleach wood toys, but it doesn't etch. You know,
Okay.
if you use a really strong solution, you're going to etch your paint, and then you're going to get the paint to peel, and then you're going to get rust.
I got all good cages.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I also sometimes use a rolling cart through my bird room so that I can, you know, do the water thing and empty into a bucket and fill in the, you know, fill food and things like that. As I've changed the configuration of the room, though, it's gotten a little bit more difficult to navigate with that thing. So it's on a little sabbatical right now. But a cart came in handy at one time. What I would suggest if you're cleaning your bird room, now I'm doing spring cleaning, and it is a real chore. I have a 500 square foot bird room. It's got a lot of windows. It's got windows, small windows about yo and yo, up by the ceiling. It's got vertical blinds, and I'm cleaning all of it. It's a big job. There was a time when I would spend, on the day of cleaning, 15 hours in my bird room. It was insane. I actually had fun doing it, but you know, as you age, that becomes less fun. Now I do it in several days. The thing that I believe is important when you've got a big chore ahead of you is not to let perfection become the enemy of good. If you just, you know, I don't want to say it's good enough for who it's for, but if you don't get every last speck clean in your bird room, they're not going to die from it. So what I do is I usually I'll sanitize my bottles one day, and I'm fortunate enough, I actually planned my bird room, and I have a dishwasher in there, and it's the bird's dishwasher. So I put all my bottles, and I sanitize all my bottles on day one, so everybody's got clean water. I also have outdoor cages that I can put them in because, you know, there used to be the joke when people were, you know, restless and crazy, they'd say, what's going on? They're cleaning his cage. It's really true. They get crazy when you clean their cages. And I will do, on day 2, I'll do grates and change my substrate. And I work myself from upper to lower. And the last thing I do is the floor. I also discovered I also have a stock tank, which is about 100 gallons. And I fill that up in my yard. And I sometimes, the grates that aren't in, the grates that don't have tubular steel, California cages made grates that didn't have tubular steel. And they don't rust from the inside out like the ones that have the tubular steel. So those I can put all in that tub. I started out with a baby pool for that purpose, and I put the Murphys in it, and the water in the baby pool. Except in the windstorm of several years ago, my baby pool became airborne and has not been seen since. I have no clue where it went, but we had like 85-degree winds and it went away. So I got one of those big Rubbermaid jobs, and I got that at Intermountain Farms. It was expensive, but it was worth it. Again, I'm talking a flock. I'm talking, more than a dozen birds and more than a dozen cages. So, I mean, if you're in that scale, these are things that, even if you're not up to that scale, there are certain efficiencies that you can arrive at. Then I just try to become, someone said to me, "You really seem to enjoy this." I said, "Yeah, cleaning my bird room is kind of a zen thing, I go in there and and this last time, like I'm in the throes of it now, I decided that I was going to do a third of the floor, and a third of the floor, and a third of the floor. So I cleaned all the cages in the first third, and then I did the floor. And then the next day I did all the cages in the second third, and then I did the floor. It's really worked out well, and I found that I was actually looking forward to going and cleaning the next third of the floor. So I have to mix it up, It has to stay interesting. But my go-to things are the Murphy's Oil Soap, better by the gallon. I use a spray bottle for my dilute solution. I have these cloths, which are very helpful. And I have several sizes of this handy-dandy little plastic.
Scraper.
Yeah, this is fabulous. I broke one day. I ran out to Home Depot immediately and bought 2 more sets because I do not want to be without them. They don't scratch your grates. They don't scratch your cages. They are fabulous for getting things off the floor without gouging whatever it is that you're trying to get it off of. And if you spray the dilute solution of the Murphy soap, but watch where you walk once you've done that because the stuff is really slippery. And then you come back about 10 minutes later, you just go whoop, and it comes right over. It's great.
Does that work as good as the metal one?
Better because you're not gonna score anything. You're not gonna mess up your floor.
Yeah, the plastic.
I mean, the metal ones will even sort of gouge your tile, which is a real bad deal.
Lucky my husband works at Autobody. I get them for free.
And I have a 4-inch one, and I have the 2-inch ones. They're great.
Also use them for paint covers.
So, I also have a plastic brush. The plastic brush.
It's flying.
Right?
Yeah, there's the 4-inch.
Oh,
This is I use this the most often. And when I'm scraping my trays, I use this to scrape the trays too.
Everything's just used.
Where did that go? I don't know. Is it back there? Oh yeah.
No, but now I need more of them.
Dollar store.
Yep.
Fabulous. I have several of these. One is in different colors. One I use for dishes. The other one I use for the floor. I try to keep it straight. And when they get really nasty, I take them outside and use them there. When I go around the bird room, I brought some examples of substrate, by the way. These are the wood pellets. Wood pellets. This is the pine shavings. Yeah, not cedar. Cedar has too much oil. It's not good for the birds. They inhale it and it's not good. And this is the corn cob stuff. If you use this, it's going to cost you a fortune. But it's good to mix with the pine shavings sometimes. In fact, I have one bird that's the only thing that keeps him from, collecting everything and flipping it around because it's too small for them to get in there, to grab it and flip it. So I have one that's, and the other thing that I like to use, which I failed to mention,
Oh, I use these in the breeder.
is I bought myself, because I'm doing this on a large scale. I bought myself a paper cutter with a serrated blade, and I buy this coated paper. It's coated on the bottom. You use the dull side to have facing the bird, and this is it's pretty water resistant. I mean, you can have someone spill water on it, it won't go through.
Resistant?
So
I use that.
Yeah.
I get that from Uline. Yeah. And the paper itself, it's expensive, but it saves me a lot of time. I think it's $60 a roll, and I think it's like something like 800 feet. But the thing is that it's you can use it for several days without changing it, especially if you put some some other stuff on top of it, or you use the trays. So I mean, I really like it, and for me it's worth it. You have to get the cutter with the serrated blade if you go that route, but they make it in different measures. I buy the 3 foot wide, and what I do is flip it upside down, and I just run my finger to make the creases, and I can change the papers in 20 minutes, on all my pages. The other thing, if you use papers, bar magnets to keep the papers down. Now, this will not prevent cockatoos from shredding them, but because it's anchored, if they shred it, they end up making their own substrate. It's really quite amazing. But if you leave, these are at Harbor Freight. Yeah. I also get their, if you need to have a bird that's covered, he needs to be covered at night, I also get their moving blankets for the winter time to use as covers. What you have to do though, if you buy a moving blanket to use as a cover from Harbor, and you buy that from Harbor Freight, you have to put it outside for a few days to let it off gas, because the finish on the fabric needs to evaporate. Okay, let's see. For serious cage cleaning, I've already mentioned the stock tank. I use that for my grates that don't have any tubular steel in them. And for serious cage cleaning, I use the a power washer. A power washer is such a vital tool to me that I was in the middle of power washing one day, and I turned off the power washer, went to turn it back on again, and it was dead. I fiddled with it for about 10 minutes, and then I went out immediately and bought another one. I mean, it was one of those tools that if it breaks down, I'm there buying another one. I would not live without one. I think you've got one too. They're fabulous. They get into every nook and cranny. So, what I like to do also when I'm doing serious cleaning is put the birds outside and get them out of the area, because there's so much going on that they start screaming and going crazy. So it's best for them to be outside. I let them cage hop before they go outside and before I clean them. They can generally make a real mess out of the bird room, because I'm going to clean it anyway. So, I don't know when you feed. I feed my birds once a day. I feed them at night. Again, I worked on New York time, and there was no way that I was also going to feed birds at 4 a.m. So they get their dishes filled at night, and in the morning they've got what to eat, and they don't fuss. And they don't really fuss until they hear me sort of padding around in the house. Now that I'm retired, that's getting later and later.
You're not retired.
I'm semi-retired.
My birds sleep till I get up.
Well, I used to be at my desk at like 5, but not anymore. So, Many people say you should feed them in the morning. That's not going to happen with me. Years ago, I had a friend when I had my first baby, and she said, I said, "What time should you feed the baby?" I said, "I can't get him to sleep all night." She said, "Well, you're obviously doing something wrong." She said, "You feed him and you change him right before you go to bed." But then I would have to wake him up. Exactly. What does he have to do that you can't wake him up? He'll find he can sleep later. So I feed them at night and they don't bother me in the morning. They are flexible enough to cater to your schedule a little bit. And I know that some people are really religious about feeding in the morning. It's just not for me. But feeding them at night works, so that's what I do. I also do, because of the size of my flock, I do bulk purchasing. People came to me the other day and said, "Do you have any nuts?" "Yeah." "How come you have nuts?" "Because I buy them and freeze them. You know, most of the nuts will freeze. You buy them when they're plentiful around Thanksgiving, and you freeze them. And they will freeze, most of them, for a year. You know, almost a year. So, you know, if you have macaws, they do need to eat nuts because that's the only way they can get enough protein. But you can buy nuts and store them from the winter, and they will be perfectly good all through the summer. So that's another thing that I do. And I buy them treats and I freeze them, and I get things on sale. So I also make homemade toys. You can make really simple homemade toys. If your some birds, if they run out of toys, they get really crabby. So I always have corrugated cardboard on hand. Mary Lou turned us on to these rolls of cardboard, again from Uline. They come in different widths. You've probably seen them if you've made toys with the group. And you can just make a simple toy by weaving it back and forth like ribbon candy, skewering it on a stick, and they just love to, to rip that apart. Cardboard is in many ways better it makes a longer lasting toy because they can't splinter it like they do wood. They actually have to work it. And it actually makes we use it a lot for pluckers because it makes their beaks nice and tired, so they don't really want to pluck themselves. So you might want to try cardboard if your bird is running through wood toys, very quickly. Okay, some of my personal favorites here. Oh, and I never met a container I didn't like. I have clear containers that contain everything. My pellets are in clear containers for just going around and filling bowls. I use these buckets, these buckets from Home Depot for longer term storage. I also have 5 freezers, which not everyone has. My new book will be Decorating with Freezers. Okay. It's a sequel to Decorating with Bird Cages. But I have every configuration of clear containers, and I make my own seed mix. You don't have to go this large scale, but I have a cement mixer that has never seen cement. It's used for bird food only, and it smells really good. But some of my favorite sources for supplies are KW Cages. They're in California. They've got the Wings catalog. Pet Solutions has now became Doctors Foster and Smith, and now is Petco. Yeah. The prices, in my estimation, are not as good. But if you go to Amazon and you do a search for whatever you're looking for, you'll have them listed in price order, and that comes in handy. Birdalog I really like. A&E Cage for boings and things like that. King's Cage is also for boings. Lady Gouldy and Finch sells something called Guardian Angel. If you've got a bird that isn't thriving and needs some help, Guardian Angel is a good product. And generally speaking, I prowl the internet all the time for who's out there and who's got what. But if you just look for it's easier now to do it's more effective, I would say, to do a product search than to have loyalty to anyone merchant.
Do you have a specific site that you use for whether it be calcium, wormer, meds, all that stuff? I've used Jeds for like calcium, the liquid calcium or the powdered calcium. Do you have a specific one that you recommend?
I used to go to Dr. Waltz. I've got to find out what happened to that site because he had a supplement called Optimum Bird.
Okay.
And now I don't see him on the internet, so I've got to inquire about that. But that was a good site.
Okay.
Also, KW Cages has some supplements, and they're, in my experience, they're less expensive than some of the other
Yeah.
more commercialized chain stores.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeffers Pet is also pretty good, and there's a veterinary site.
Valley Vet?
What's that?
Valley Vet?
It might be Valley Vet. I'll give the information to Mary Lou, but
I just
I
know
use one
Jet,
of those too.
So.
There's a lot of sites out there, and it's getting, if you know how to navigate, you know how to conduct searches.
Yeah.
It's all out there, but there are some that I really like. KW Cages has a lot of preparations for, and I bought some of their small rabbit cage some of their small rabbit carrying cages that I use for bird carrying cages just by putting a perch in them.
Yeah.
And those work out really well. So they've got things to make outdoor cages. So
Nice.
it's a good site. It's good for ideas too.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I do my own grooming. I also do grooming for others, and I have basic grooming supplies. I think that everybody, even if you're not into grooming your birds, you should have a pair of scissors with a blunted
Yep.
blades. You should have quick stop. You should have one of the things that I have on hand all the time is EMT gel. EMT gel is a collagen gel. One of the toughest things to do on a bird is to get skin to grow. The reason is that it's paper thin. This is something that creates people who have horses use it, because if a horse gets a fetlock injury, it's a really difficult place to have skin grow because it's always under pressure. And the horse people started using this, and it's very good stuff. It's a collagen ointment. And what it does is creates a matrix on which the skin cells can migrate so that they can actually form new skin.
So it's kind of like when you get a burn, you spray the new skin on. It's
Yeah.
Because I've had cockatiels get their toes bit by our Quakers, and it's the worst. When they're bleeding, it's so hard to
Yeah,
stop. On the
this
feet.
stuff is magic.
Awesome. What is it called again?
EMT, it's made by Trophy, and it's EMT gel.
EMT gel.
It's
I'm
actually
gonna take a picture
chemically
of it.
natural
On the table.
hydrolysate of collagen.
Awesome. Thank you. I've never heard of it.
It smells awful. Okay,
long as it works.
but you know, we're not going to eat it ice
Yeah.
cream. Okay.
Madeline,
Yeah.
could you put that on their chest for pluckers at all that are
I
bare?
use this. If you go to my website, I had a bird, Coral, whom you've met probably, because Coral's, she's just a gadabout. And she had girded her leg. If I had not been able to get skin on this leg, it was going to have to be removed because the muscle was actually showing on the leg.
Oh no.
And I put this on the margins of the skin, and it just sort of, it actually fused together.
So it's
It took a couple of
non-toxic?
months.
If they try to eat it, is it toxic or?
No,
Okay,
no.
awesome.
It's not very
Okay.
pleasant.
Yeah. That helps though with the plucker question. I mean, they don't want it to eat it.
Well, and one of the things that I make is collars, birds that can't touch things, The other thing I keep in the house, this is an empty bottle, but Vetricin. It's a wounds, it's basically a highly oxygenated treatment. The vets use it. You can use it, they say, for veterinary use only. I have a friend who was working for a vet, and they performed surgery on a tiger because a guy had an exotic zoo, and she got ringworm, which you can get from cats and dogs and birds and whatever. And they used this for about 4 or 5 days, and it did away with the ringworm.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
which is really amazing.
Okay.
And she didn't turn into a bird or a horse, which was good.
Or a
So
tiger.
what would you use that? What is the purpose of using that?
It's for those hard to get, hard to touch wounds.
Is it like an antiseptic kind of, like
Yeah,
rubbing
yeah,
alcohol?
Yeah,
Or,
it's,
okay.
well, but it's not harsh. It's highly oxygenated, and it's kind of like heavy
Take
water.
pictures.
You know, I mean, it's just
Pictures are
something that
better.
purifies the area without touching it or rubbing it or interfering with it. So you can spray it on as opposed to hurting the animal by rubbing, and you just spray on enough that it drips and it cleans the area. So it's really good. I discovered this. This is a person product, and it's Miracle Foot Repair. It is a high percentage, like 60 or 70 or 80% aloe, but it's in a cream form. And I don't know whether you have Amazon parrots, but they seem to get the driest feet in the world. And this really helps. It's good for your own feet too. Another thing I keep in the house is Calazyme. I'm sure you've seen this, Carol. They have it at the hospitals. Yeah. It's a olive oil and calamine with zinc oxide, and I use it for skin abrasions. And it's pretty effective. It's made by Madeleine, which does a lot of hospital products. And then there's EPC Extra Protective Cream, another skin prep. You